Onegaishimasu.
Goshimasu.
Try to come up from the ground, so not pulling ourselves up, not hiking up, but continue to enter into the ground, push into the ground will push you up. Push into the ground, just keep your alignment skeletally, and you'll be pushed up from the ground. And maintain that feeling and idea as we go into a little movement, relaxing into the ground, letting the ground push back up through the skeleton. Then you don't have to overuse the muscles. You want to avoid overusing the muscles, want to avoid contracting, pulling in, tightening in. So we align with natural forces, gravity. We have to use our awareness and our intention to align the skeleton so that the gravity can give, so the ground can give back through our entire shape, through our entire length. And the ground giving back is called the ground force. The ground path is the line that we create and allow the ground force to work. If I'm like this, the ground path isn't going all the way through me. It maybe comes up part way, but now the ground path is stuck. There's no ground path now. Maybe the ground can come up to here in my lower body. So I want to develop a clear ground path for the ground force to work through the entire length of the body. So that's a lot of letting go. That's a lot of not doing. It's a lot of not doing. In fact, there's a special word in Tai Chi, in Chinese, for this big concept and skill of not doing. It's called Wu Wei. Wu Wei means not doing, or not doing the unnecessary things, not doing anything extra. Nothing extra is done. So that's a tremendous study in itself. Not doing anything extra. There's another phrase in the Western world that relates to that. The master sculptor doesn't add to the masterpiece, to the sculpture. The master sculptor chips away at the unessentials until the essence is revealed. So that's the path of the internal martial arts. It's not adding to and getting stronger this way and creating power from the outside. External force, releasing, letting go, releasing, melting away the unessentials, releasing, until you come to a different source of your power and your stability and your mechanics. Rather than external muscle force, going into more internal aspects. The bones, obviously the bones are more internal than the muscles. And of course, more and more we use the mind, the intention, that's getting more internal. So the importance of not doing, releasing, doing less and less, but there's a lot of doing here, awareness and intention. So all the work is inside, awareness and intention. And let's just make a bigger shape and use Sayuendo as a nice stretch. So try to stretch through your entire body. So you're not just putting your arms out there. The ground force is pushing through your body, opening up your body, stretching tissues of the body. So you're not just shifting weight and putting your arms out. Let that ground force push all the way through your body, opening your torso, opening your shoulder joints, unfurling your arms. And in the middle here as well, the arms are pushed out. So this is just turned into a very nice body stretch. Let's just do some Manucci with that same idea, pushing from the ground, push into the ground will push back. Let that lengthen your body, open your body, and make Manucci happen. Then you press down the front leg. Press down the front leg, let that push you back. So opening the joints of the shoulders, elbows, eventually everything, the vertebrae. So you're opening and lengthening. not a Western exercise kind of move where it's contracting the muscles. It's an opening experience. And a few on the other side. So it's an opening process, not a doing muscular process. It's an opening. So there's a lot more allowing and letting quality than a doing quality. All the work is a level of mind and feeling, awareness and intention. Okay, so we'll just carry right up from where we left last class in this program, and we're doing Tenkan Undo with a slide step. But let's actually do regular white belt Tenkan Undo just to make sure we're still getting warmed up. Before we do big movements, let's make sure the knees, hips, feet, ankles are warmed up. So just 90-degree Tenkan. We'll do the Manuchi shape. So no slide step. You can start very slow and very small. Ensure that you're nicely warmed up, warming up. And that gives us a chance to, again, focus more on these internal aspects. Am I staying very vertical, aligned with gravity? Letting gravity work through my upright structure, through my hips, through my legs. And again, the arm movement, have that as an opening process, opening, releasing, feeling. Opening, releasing, feeling. Just a quick review reminder, releasing down that back leg pushes us into the movement. Rather than us lurching into the movement, we relax down, release down, press down, and that pushes forward. Now we know it's called the ground force. Pushing down, let the ground push you into that move. Pushing down, eventually getting more refined, it's releasing down, relaxing down. Because pushing down could be quite contracting, which is closing. So, but that's how we need to start. So I'll say push the foot down, push the leg into the ground, but eventually it's more refined. It's releasing and opening down into the ground. The ground pushes back. The ground force pushes back. In fact, the more you push into the ground, the more you're pushed back from the ground. Okay, so maybe let's just do a few 180-degree Tenkan, just basic white belt movement, footwork, no slide step. So perhaps we could have the other side forward. Take your time, just a quick reminder, when you step for that first step into the turn, you want to turn the foot and the leg as you touch down. So the whole leg does a turn on the ball of the foot. So you're not twisting your leg when you throw the other leg around. So take your time, we'll do a few 180 degrees. Let those shoulders release, let them go. So it's like the joints in the shoulders, elbows, wrists, even fingers open. So your reach gets longer and longer. Letting the weight fall through your upright structure. Okay, so specifically in this program, we're adding to our movement, covering more ground, slide step in, slide step back. Some basic things we want to watch out for when we do larger movement and we try more because we're trying to do larger movement. All that doing that we talked about at the very beginning. So I'm going to do. So we might start again lurching. Very basic idea of that is using the upper body. So we want to stay pristine in our posture and our alignment. We just let the ground push us more. So that means we release or press down more, and that will move us stronger or further. So we don't want to try more. We want to align more, align better, allow better to get that extra power and extra movement, not overtly, externally trying more, not lurching. So let's start with out the arm work, just to get that footwork and staying nice and relaxed. Tai Chi, we talked about hanging from the string, like a Halloween skeleton. That helps us to remember and feel that we're not pushing, we're just hanging and staying nicely vertical. So press off the back leg, enter, slide back. Now for this, we are coming to a back stance. So that's different than the basic footwork without the slide step. The basic one, we stay in a forward stance. This one, we're shifting all the way back to the back leg. Of course, though, I don't want to be leaning and lurching back. I want to sit into that back hip, that back leg. Press down into the ground to launch me forward. Slide back into the back leg. And try a few just with that footwork. Notice if you're tending to lean or lurch. Notice if you're tending to tighten your stomach. Hold your breath a little bit. All that is contractual stuff and muscular stuff. We want to release that and go the other direction. Instead of contracting inward, stomach, muscles, breath, we want to open outward. Check that vertical alignment. Of course, the knees are bent because you're hanging from the string or that elastic. In other words, you're allowing gravity to work through your vertical structure, so your knees are naturally bent then. And if you want to really connect into the ground so the ground can push you back, those knees will be bent a little bit. The hips will be relaxed. Okay, then you can bring the Minucci movement into that. Same dynamics, pushing off that back leg, sends the arms out. Sliding back, brings the arms back. So it's important that eventually you get a sense that your arms are not doing this movement. You're not raising and dropping your arms. Push off that back foot, that ground force moving through your body, the same ground force that launches you into movement, sends the arms out and up. Pushing down that back leg slides you forward and drives the arms forward and up. Sliding back into the back leg draws the arms down and back. So in a sense, the arms are not doing it. It's coming from the feet or the ground, pushing those joints open in the arms. So pushing off, launching off, drives the arms forward and up. Sliding back, draws the arms down. The joints stay open in those arms. Okay. So let's set up for the other side to do 180 degrees. Feel free to let me know if you have any comments, thoughts, or questions with any of these movements or concepts. So start very slow. Let's not bring the arms quite yet. Just this bigger turn. Slide step in, slide step out. Using the legs and hips, not the upper body at all. And your upper body is just going for a ride. Stays vertical, completely upright and open, neutral in a sense. So it's like the upper body is just passively going for a ride. Okay, whenever you're ready, see if the arms can be driven by those dynamics that we mentioned. So in a sense, the arms are not doing it. The arms are not lifting up and dropping down. It's not the arms doing that. Energize your hand blades. That's a nice addition as well. And that will help open and lengthen the arms and joints in the arms. Energizing the hand blades right to the little fingers. You keep going just a bit more. I'll see if I can notice anything with you guys. So senpai, let's have more extension with your arms. Your arms should be almost, that's way better already, yes. Just have a little tiny bend in the elbow. Other than that, you're reaching as far as you can up and as far as you can down. Bonnie and Aladdin, that's looking very, very good. So we'll move on to the next one. Okay. Okay, so Minuchi in 4 directions. So that's Shiho. Shiho Undo. Shiho means 4. This is nothing new for any of you. You've all done this before, I think many times. So if I just give a little demonstration, Minuchi in 4 directions. Once you finish the 4, you don't just kind of lumber back to the starting position. You do a classical Aikido footwork to get to the beginning again. That's Irmi Tenkan. Irmi Tenkan, and then you're set up for the next rotation. Okay, so we're just putting this in as a demonstration technique for this new program. Try to keep all those principles in mind. Watch out if you're leaning. Stay within your column or continue hanging from that elastic. Or stay within your vertical axis. So this is very normal to happen. So stay nice and vertical. It's like you're in this column of your own space. Arms happen because of the back heel, the back foot, not because of the arms. So let's start, especially the first couple or so rotations, quite slow. So you can work on driving down that back foot, that back heel, pushes back up through me, pushing down the front foot, draws it down. Now I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see that not only does it drive my arms up, it drives them out. So I'm not doing this. That's up and foreshortened, collapsed. It's more, it's driven out. Pushing off that back heel drives it out, 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 out. And actually your arms only come up because the arms are of a limited length. So they have to rise up. You just do the out. We don't really want to do up because if we do, up is one of those things we don't do. Sculptor chipping away at the things that aren't essential, getting rid of all the extra stuff. Up is one of those extra things. Because watch what happens to me when I do up. If you do up, if you think up, everything tightens, everything comes up, everything shirks up. You become a tight block, you become restricted and no longer connected to the ground. So that's why we don't do up. In Tai Chi, first move in all Tai Chi sets is called commencement. And we're always talking about don't do up, because if you do up, everything tightens and shirks in and shirks up, it's out. It's the same for this move. If you watch, I'm just going to do out. If I keep doing out from the back foot, the arms have to come up. So yeah, I'd like you to try that because this is, you can really get a good feeling of that, especially if you go really slow. Push off the back foot because again, you don't want to do it with the arms. It's the back foot, the back floor, and your mental intention forward. And I want you to, for all intents and purposes, you're just pushing your arms out to the wall in front of you or out to the horizon in front of you. Do not do up. In fact, try not to lift your arms up even. So don't think about up, just forward, 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 forward. Keep going forward, keep going forward, keep going forward, keep flowing out, keep pushing out from the back heel, keep pushing out. Your arms have to come up because they're of limited length. If you keep flowing out and out and out and out and out and out, your arms will rise for you. So that's the Wu Wei part, the non-doing part. The non-doing is the up. The up happens for you. We have to do the connection to the ground and good awareness of our alignment and structure. We have to do those things, but the up we do not have to do. We have to do the out. Out, 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 out. And you don't actually have to do the down either. When you shift the weight back, if you keep flowing out through your hand blades and your fingertips, if you keep flowing out through your fingertips, as you shift the weight back, keep getting longer, 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 you just keep a big arc going out. The arms will come back following the biggest possible arc. So especially the up, notice that you don't have to do the up. Keep flowing out, you do not have to do the up. Okay, so see if you can keep a remnant of that in all the movements that we do. So if we set up for Minuchi Ikuendo, Shiho Undo, or direction Minuchi. Right leg forward, so each, Tenkai, knee, stepping to the right, San, Tenkai to the left, Shi. Back leg comes up, front leg comes around, ready for the next rotation. Now, especially when we start changing directions and adding more movement, we'll tend to lurch, we'll tend to lean. So notice how much that's happening, because it's probably happening to a small degree. Try it, and that's another reason why we want to go slow to catch all those things. So here we go, nice and slow. Each, knee, on, shi. Now maybe you can sink and connect to the ground a bit better this next rotation. Maybe the knees can be a little softer, a little more bent, and not up and not tight. So a little deeper with your weight, perhaps this time. So nice and slow, each, knee, on, shi. Another point I'm going to make, and this eventually becomes all these little things become very, very important the longer you're doing this art. Just like any art, painting, music, once you're in it for a number of years and studying deeply, so all the tiny, tiny details become the big things. So kind of an example of that is, you might notice that the hands are always open. And in particular, Minuchi, it's usually more obvious. The fingers are open. But it's not because I'm spreading my fingers open. So here I'm spreading my hands open. You can probably sense the tension. So I don't want to open my hands and my fingers because I'm doing it muscularly. Because the muscular tension, then your power stops here. It also restricts your energy flow. And it's easier for the other person to grab you, hold you, control you, because you're stuck here in this one spot, in this one space and time. You're stuck here. It's easy for you to be manipulated and controlled. So the hands are open and fingers are apart, not because I'm holding them open and apart, but because of that same flow I talked about, flowing ki, extending mental intention. And this goes out through the arms, through the hands, through the fingers, and it's that mental extension that opens the hands. It's your flow, your expansion, your extension that opens the fingers for you. So again, wu wei, non-doing. I'm not opening my fingers, my hands. My fingers and hands are opened for me. They're opened by the outflow of intention, the outflow of mind. That opens the hands and fingers for me. I don't open them. So it's often called ki. Ki is mind or energy. Ki flow. There's many pictures of O-sensei and film of O-sensei. A lot of times he's walking around and his fingers are way apart. But it's not because he's stretching his hands and opening his hands physically. He's flowing, he's big extension, big energy. So everything is opened. And by the way, everything is open. See, you can maybe notice that with your hands, that opens up your fingers, right? Instead of being closed, instead of being tight, rigid, open, they're just opened by the outflow. That's exactly what happens to the joints in all parts of the body. So we talked a lot about the shoulder joints at first because they're usually the easiest for people to relate to and be able to sense and open. But if you try that, have your hands kind of soft and a little bit, if you're not doing anything with your hands, they're a little bit collapsed, right? There may be anywhere from here to here. Whatever is your default setting, don't do anything with your hands and see where they rest. It could be anywhere from almost closed to almost open, anywhere in there. Everybody's different, but just your default setting. Just check your hands like this. How do your hands rest when you're not doing anything with them? Have a look and feel your hands when you're not doing anything with them. There's nothing in your hands. Just have a look at that. Now, with your mind, your intention, your feeling, flow out, flow out, flow out, flow out, flow out, flow out. So your arms go forward too. Flow out, flow out, flow out. Feel like your hands are getting really big, like big mittens. Float, float, flow out through your arms, out through your hands, out through your fingers, and let your fingers unfurl because of that flow. And you may have noticed that the hands have opened and the fingers are apart just because of that outflow. That's eventually what we want with all the joints in the body, that outflow. Easiest, like I said, to relate to it first and to address is the shoulder joints, but eventually it's all the joints. So if you had a sense of being able to open your fingers and your hands just with your outflow, try a few more just stationary from here, doing the same thing for your shoulder joints when you do Minucci. So now you'll probably be very conscious of the fact that your fingers open and spread apart just because you're flowing out. And if you can sense that and get that happening, allow the same thing to happen with your shoulder joints. So you're not pushing your shoulder joints open. You're not trying to get your shoulder joints open because you're fighting against the contracting to try to do that. You just let your shoulder joints open and lengthen and spread apart, just like your fingers. And eventually that'll be through the entire length of your body. So let's take that into that Shiho Undo. So we'll do a few more slow so you can work on that feeling of flowing out from your center, from your core, flowing out. So you won't have to lift your arms, you just flow out and they'll be lifted eventually and it'll open up your fingers, not because you're doing it, just because of the outflow. So it's quite enjoyable once you connect into that. So let's do some really slow here. So each flowing out. Ni. San. Everything is about flowing out. Shi. Even switching your feet here, Irmi Tenkan, hang out from the string and flow out, flow out, flow out. Each. Ni. San. Shi. Now this next time, see how big you can be, how big of an action, big of a motion you can make without, of course, leaning. See how big you can be physically and energetically. Expansive, expansive, expansive. Each. Ni, bigger and bigger. San. Shi. One more time like that. See if you can fill the entire room. So you're touching the walls with your fingertips. You're feeling the entire room. Each. Ni. San. Shi. Even your Irmi Tenkan setting up is big and flowing. So how about you do 2 or 3 more rotations at whatever pace level you want. And I'll just take a little look. Just do 2 or 3 more rotations. Good. Nice. Now you probably noticed that it feels very different than doing it physically. And once you click into and turn on the energetic, it feels very, very, very good. It feels very therapeutic, very opening, very releasing, even soothing. And then when we add speed, we don't want to lose any of this. So yes, eventually you want to be able to do all of these things at a regular pace and even a fast pace. But then we have to notice what we lose, what principles we're losing, and slow it back down a little bit so we can keep all those principles, for example, simple relaxation, simple flowing out extension, Notice when we lose it, it's curtailed. And can we bring it